If you are looking for an open world adventure with a great story, you love samurai, and you want a little bit of stealth packed into it as well, then Ghost of Tsushima is the game for you. Now, for a bit of context into this world, Ghost of Tsushima is set in the first 100 years of feudal Japan, where it was primarily ruled by the warrior class called the shoguns. Now, during this time, the Mongols had already conquered most of China and Korea. Now their eyes were set for Japan. Now, in real history, the conquering of Japan was actually pretty unsuccessful due to the rough seas between the Korean Peninsula and the Japan Islands. However, we're not going to get into that here, but just to kind of let you know that this is based upon a real historical event, more or less. Anyways, enough with the historical stuff. Let's go on with the review. First off, the good. First, we need to talk about the scenery of this game. It is absolutely amazing. Even though we're just on PS4, I don't even have a PS4 Pro, and everything in here looks absolutely amazing. The vibrant colors of the fields, when you're just riding on your horse through a bunch of tall grass or flower, fields, it's absolutely amazing. Everything in this game looks absolutely... I really feel like the creators of this took to heart what real Japan countryside looked like during this time and put it into the game. The next great thing is the battle system, where it mixes of both of hardcore action and stealth. Now, at first I thought this was going to be another hack and slash type game, but instead it's actually pretty precise and it can be pretty technical when you think about it. It mixes a little bit of Onimusha and a bit of Batman Arkham series, if you know those games. The best thing about this game, though, is that the fact that you get to choose between how you want to play it. Now, you can basically, if you're the, face-all and heroic type, you can just march into a camp and just destroy everybody head-on. Or if you are more the stealth type and you want to take out your opponent one by one, and not get seen, then you can do that as well. Next, let's talk about the customization and the aesthetics of this game. Depending on how you like to play, you can adjust your gear and your charms to the way you like to play. So if you're the type that wants to, charge into a camp and just do damage, then you can adjust all your charms to make sure that you have high health and high damage. If you're more about stealth, then you can adjust your charms to make sure that you don't get detected. Also, one thing I love about this game is that you get to choose between different armor sets. Each of it obviously has its own perks, but also you get to mix and match a lot of the aesthetics here. So you can choose between different headgear, different katana sleeves, and even different shades for your outfit that don't really affect the gameplay, but at least helps you customize the player and how you want it to look. One thing I really liked at the end of the game is when you get your ghost suit, is that I try to make it look as ninja as possible, because I feel like that's kind of what I was going for. And then other times when I wanted to look as samurai, as like a beast samurai as I wanted to, as much as possible, I went that away. Lastly, the thing I'll review is the story in itself. Now, if you are interested in samurai culture, then this is really the game for you, because it tackles a lot of the philosophy behind what it means to be a samurai and a warrior within feudal Japan. Because our main character himself, struggles a lot between his warrior code and freeing his countrymen from the Mongols. So as he progresses through the story, and I'm not going to use any spoilers here, he has to choose between whether he wants to honor his warrior code or just simply complete a job in order to free his countrymen. So you really see his struggle when he talks to his uncle and other characters about what he's doing. There's on one side you have the villagers who are just grateful with what he's doing and how he's being able to liberate a lot of camps. Then there's the other side where it's like, you have the warriors, you have the warrior class, essentially calling him dishonorable because he's doing things that are considered, cowardly and he's doing things that are considered not, worthy of a proper warrior. So it goes through a lot of these ins and outs. So the reason I'm calling this section the not so good is because I don't think there's actually anything wrong or bad with this game. There are some things I want to be improved, but I would never consider these types of things bad. But let's get into it. So first off, one of the things that can be a little bit annoying is that some of the missions do get repetitive. Now, first off, the game is not short, all right? There is at least going to be 20 to 30 hours a minimum for just the story alone, not including all the side missions. However, a lot of the gameplay within here does get a little bit monotonous, to be honest, and there's not a whole lot of variety. When it comes to dealing with the Mongols, the objective is always just to clear the area, the camp, or the stronghold of the Mongols. Sometimes they'll throw in some extra incentives like hostage rescue or releasing animals, but there aren't a lot of it. I wish there was some more interesting missions like stealing enemy intelligence, or maybe sabotaging equipment, or maybe some assassinations, without waking up the camp or something like that, right? Something a little bit more dynamic to actually use all your skills. There were a few times where I had two missions where it was a little bit more dynamic than the other ones. Where one time I was infiltrating a camp, and there was a bunch of villagers up on the cliff to the far cliff. And when the alarm rang, these villagers started raining arrows down onto the Mongols. So they were helping me. And it was because they wanted to help the ghost up. And I was like, wow, that's so much more interesting. And I figured I would be expecting this on a number of missions when I go infiltrate camps. But instead, it only happened once. And I was like, okay, I guess that's it for that one. I wish there was a little bit more to that in terms of how I would be able to liberate the people. Also, the other thing that was kind of annoying was getting supplies to upgrade your weapons. So there are a multitude number of materials that you need to gather in order to upgrade your weapons and your armors. But there was one item which was called supplies that you needed a lot of. And it was used in almost every single upgrade. The problem with this was I always found myself short of supplies. Everything else I can arguably get over time. As long as you keep doing missions and roaming around, like you'll just pick up stuff over time. But the one thing that I always found scarce of was supplies. I always was short of that, and because it uses a lot of it, and I feel like it needed to bump up the amount of supplies you get. Every once in a while, they'll throw in a drop of like 50 or 100, but like when you need 1,500 to upgrade your armor, like you basically can upgrade one armor and then you're going back out scavenging again. So here's what I wish the game had a little bit more of in the long run, or maybe some ideas in order to improve for the sequel to this game, because let's remember this is just the beginning of the Mongol invasion. The Mongols eventually, reached the island of Iki, which is between Tsushima and Japan, and they reached the mainland too. So there's a lot more story to be developed here. One would be like a kind of honor versus ghost speeder. Basically you play it'd be very similar to Red Dead Redemption, where he has like kind of good guy versus outlaw meter. So I would hope, and depending on where the meter goes, it rewards you in different ways. So let's just say you play more as a ghost, you're more likely to attract maybe bandits to your cause, or maybe you'll get more like militia to get farmers to be up in arms, and they'll try to help you, liberate more villages so that they can, essentially build up a small farming army, right? Like a militia army, so that you can get help that way. This overall, this game I think is fantastic. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to play it, I really, really recommend you guys do go play it, and let me know what you think of this game. Thank you guys for listening. If you like this video, please give it a like, and also hit the notification button, subscribe, and yeah, I'll try to put out more videos like this, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks, folks.